Hi, this is about the document about the secrets hidden in the soup regarding Soup's kitchen. Please do not reach out to anybody in these screenshots, okay? Let's be mature, guys. Let's not go dox anybody. Cuz yes, this is a very serious situation, but I don't want anybody to get doxed or like harassed or any sort of thing like that. Okay? The content warnings that are in this document, as well as this video, is pedophilia, grooming, inappropriate photos, sexual response to photo, public affection, love bombing, immaturity, mod abuse, poor moderation, neglect, miscommunication, pedophilia support, disrespect, entitlement, and ignorance, and slurs, and racist. These are the list of Soup's rules. You're gonna have this in mind for the other topics that we're going to discuss first, but I just wanted to overview and start with Soup's rules. I'm not really a fan of the 12th one, involving we can change the rules at any time, because it's very a weird thing to say involving your rules and saying how you can change it, so you can bend the rules. I'm not going to go into detail, but we're going to actually start with the first official topic about the warnings that led to bans. This is basically more highlighted members and voice actors that were kicked or banned from Soup's server, and I want to explain what they did and why they were banned, and their defense, if they have any defenses. Starting off with GTR, he got banned on the 21st, but I messaged him on the 22nd asking him why he was banned, and he responded with this. Now, going back on the rules, they say that you can curse, but not a lot, because Soup wants to make aware that there are minors present in the server, that everyone knows. But also, having an alt account is not allowed for some reason. I can assume that Soup didn't want people snooping or anything, suspect with alt accounts, but they never mentioned it in the rules, which is kind of meh to really have as a warning. So although these screenshots are when GTR got banned and got messaged as Soup's evidence on his excessive cursing and also the inappropriate language that was in his status, which caused him to get banned because he had to say this. And even though it was an alt account, it's still GTR behind the screen, and if it was a joke from close friends, it's only racist behavior coming from GTR. And I just wanted to discuss it. Another member would be Q. Q is a previous voice actor of Soup's. He was the Gyome voice actor. There's a skit about him, me, Chumi, and Soup. But about how he was banned was a very confusing one on both sides. Especially for Q, because he's not made aware on some of the stuff that he might have said that Soup assumed that he said. But before we go into that, I'm not gonna call them out, but there's a specific person I want to bring up that was fanboying over the Gyome voice actor, which would be Q, and also fanning over Gyome, like saying how they would explain their fantasies with the characters in people in VC. And they're a minor, by the way, and they got a warning from that, and they did get banned, but that was after Q. So it was Q got banned, and the fanboy Gyome got banned. It's just a weird thing I wanted to bring up. But focusing on Q, at the time that they were banned, Wrecking Ball made the video, like I said. Well, Wrecking Ball made the silly skit involving Soup, Chumi, me, and Q, but I don't know that Q was aware that. No, I know Q was not aware about the video, but it's kind of contradicting on whether this would be weird to still send one of your ex-voice actors video skits for content or not. So I want to introduce Soup's contract. I was specifically talking about content ownership, which is the second one. Don't know really what to say because it's also confusing on my part, because you could still own your voice, but then they can use it for projects and skits and promotion. So it really flips the coin here, honestly. So going on the real reason why Q was banned or had a warning, three 3 unknowing warnings. I want to mention that Soup does not tell you about these warnings. They will just mark it down and get back at you later and you'll get banned. And Q accidentally called them fat, and Q accidentally called Soup fat, and Q said that Soup told Soup that it was not a big deal, and Soup said fuck you and left the VC. I guess a wrong call. And the last warning was there was a moment where he was dressing up as Donald Trump in Roblox and doing the impression and saying that, like, jokingly to people, that he was gonna deport them. He was obviously doing an impression, but I guess that's something that could be offensive to Soup, causing him to get banned. But it still kind of doesn't match up on the reason why he was banned, shown here. Q says that they only admitted to the Trump jokes, but nothing about Diddy files and Diddy jokes or Epstein. Just they are unaware about the other jokes that they made, so that's why this situation is kind of confusing, but I did want to mention it. A well-known topic or a debate or an issue with CB, aka Chicken Butt, and Soup is, I'm pretty sure some would know, but I'm not gonna say that, I'm not using this as an excuse, but Chicken Butt is, well, at the time he was 14, he just turned 15, and I'm not gonna say that he's innocent per se, but he's still a kid, so kids are gonna say shit, and they're not racist nor a supporter of a pedophile, but I would have to give that to the Barry and Comfy topic, and not right now, because it'll get confusing. But I can try to pinpoint on how the Soup and the CB situation started becoming more noticeable and an issue, and how he got banned. They were in a VC, Soup, Chicken Butt, and Barry, and Barry suggested that, hey, you should change Chicken Butt's name to Chicken Butt, or CB's name to Chicken Butt, which Chicken Butt did not like. So it was completely thrown out the window, and Soup still changed it anyways. Which CB replied with, that's why Redacted is my favorite. And then the courtroom started. When the courtroom started, before I get into detail about the courtroom, I want to talk about the mini error of the minis. The minis? But like, an example, my nickname was changed to X, and like the curved lines, Mini Soup. From what I can remember, I believe that the Soups, or all the minis, the mini Chumies, are Mini Gloom and Mini Soup. The Mini Soups were me and Ducky, and some mini Redacteds were Comfy, and I know Sin had their name as Redacted's twin, but that's all I could really remember because it got removed really fast because of favoritism, so they didn't want to make that a thing. But that goes into what I said in, I don't know if anybody's watched it. It goes into what I said earlier about Soup's name changing, and it caused Redacted and Chewy to get really upset, and I guess he cried because they got angry that he was changing their names over and over again. But focusing back in on the courtroom, it was a lot of people in the courtroom. There are videos from Chicken Butt with Soup doing stuff in the courtroom stage, and it was just basically there just to nitpick on CB. There's a screenshot here on his perspective and such. Soup says it was a joke, but CB didn't take it like it was. They were arguing and making fun of each other, and since they're both like essentially strangers and they barely know each other, it's hard to say that they were joking in a funny way. This seems like they didn't like each other. There's this back and forth as well that it kind of just, once again, it could have just been it's a misunderstanding on all parts, mostly specifically Chicken Butt, because he says that he couldn't read the the name of the channel because it was in a font that he couldn't read. And Soup replied with a very not really genuine, like just said, why are you asking this here? This isn't the channel for questions. When they could have just told them, directed them that, hey, can you message this in here? It's a casual question, not like a question for voice actors. And it's just, I guess, caused a little back and forth, and that probably was a warning as well. But the last thing that got Chicken Butt kicked to be banned is that they told the general chat, because Soup and others were essentially sort of spamming, I guess, because they got rid of the spam chat, so they sent stickers in main chat, and CB told everyone to shut up. Soup told CB to shut up. Others recommended that they mute the chat, which they did until Seth and Sin woke him up again and mentioned the courtroom. What? And the conversation dies down until Comfy talks about it again, leading Comfy to get timeout from what he said last, and CB to just get banned, like, moments after. Overall, he broke only, like, thinking logically about it, he only broke Rule 8 and 11. Apparently behind the scenes, they got banned or warned from another reason. There's a lot of, like, missed warns and unreasonable bans, but apparently Sin had a feminine-looking profile from JJK, and Chicken Butt called it a femboy profile picture. Sin said it made them annoyed and not uncomfortable, but Soup took it as they were uncomfortable, and that caused him to get banned. So it was like a, oh well, you were banned sort of scenario. I don't know what to say. He didn't do anything wrong, like racist or pedo. Once again, I have to get to Barry and Comfy's situation to actually talk about it, and then I'll explain his defense against the accusations of him being a pedophile or a racist. By the way, Soup did say a slur as well as Comfy. It's up in the air. You just want to mention that. For the Sin issue, fan or foe, Sin was in a VC with Chumi, Soup, Redacted, and 2 others. They were in a private VC, probably a secret meeting VC, and Sin said that he started to overthink because it was getting late, so they're a little on edge, and so they left the server because they felt like they weren't needed around. Redacted sent them a message, out of worry, asking them to rejoin the server and why they left. Sin told him that they were feeling unwanted and such, and expressed personal stuff to Redacted, and Redacted sort of panicked and assumed that Sin meant suicide. Redacted sent a very strong message saying that if Sin blocked him, he would still find a way to check up on Sin. Sin reassured him that he wasn't going to do anything like that and ended off the message with "forgive me," and eventually just fell asleep. These are the messages that happen during the time or in the morning of when Sin didn't reply to them. But also Sin says this on what happened the next day. I don't really know what to say because this one's kind of a up in the air situation on what Sin was almost to one step of being. But they aren't racist. Sin is not racist nor a pedophile. They are dating GTR, who essentially is a racist because GTR said the N-word. Barry and Comfy. How did this happen? How did Barry become a pedophile and date Comfy with no hesitation? With no time put into it. it was almost like less than 3 days that they met and they started dating. As well as the relationship was less than 3 days as well. When all the drama was happening at Soup server, Barry sent their Discord server to most of the castaways who complained about Soup. But then I guess Barry left for some reason, in the midst of that. Around the time GTR talked to Barry about personal stuff, and he noticed that she wasn't in a relationship and she wasn't doing anything. So he asked around with all the guys he's known, or he just asked around with guys in Barry's server and also guys outside of Barry's server. And I chimed in saying that, was this really necessary? And did Barry really want to get in a relationship? Barry said that she did not give her consent on GTR asking around because she couldn't talk to people and had no romantic idea of how to talk to people at all. But I guess not too long ago, like literally after I talked to GTR and Barry and Call, Barry and Comfy started matching profile pictures, and the wave started to crush in. And it started with the confession bot messages, and then it was their status, and then the profile pictures got more the stereotypical TV girl profile picture started to click in my head, and I was like, I had to go. But before I went and left the server, I did message Barry about it, and well, she said that. And also, here's GTR doing this if I haven't sent it already. I'm gonna say a warning, because these messages are more intense than the ones I've just sent, so please, it's a warning if you don't like grooming or weird behavior. Just a summary over all that messages that I sent. I guess I believe they started dating around the 1st of October, and the amount of love bombing before they started dating and when they did date, it was really messing with my mental health, and honestly, it was disgusting. And I had to leave the server because it was guys, disgusting. I unfriended GTR, Comfy, and Barry during this, but only GTR and Comfy friended me back for some reason. I got a text from Sin, and I didn't want to tell them that I was very uncomfortable with the e-kissing and the hugging and the public server, and of course the age gap bothered me to the maximum. I started thinking about the age gap as soon as I messaged GTR about it when I left. Even before that, it was like, I wonder why they're matching profile pictures as Obanai and Mitsuri. That's totally not raising any flags. I even went out of the way to tell them to stop e-kissing in a public server. It's disgusting. I wasn't comfortable with this. But here are my messages with GTR explaining my concerns about the couple. And since I was afraid to call it out at the time, I ran away. That's why I left the server. Sin also stated some information on how Comfy was starting to regret getting in a relationship with Barry because he didn't want her to get arrested or in trouble. And she replied with, "Oh, and that's it." With me taking my 3-day break, Sin messaged Comfy about Barry dating and stuff, and they wanted to tell them that it was bad. Comfy messaged Barry back in this message here. As you could tell that she's very aware, she said, quote unquote, "I do think it is wrong, but it feels right." Even lies to him saying that I won't get arrested, but it's obviously not good. They broke up eventually, I think not an hour away. And Comfy explained his It was how he felt after. Me and Sin decided to give him some space, but then Chicken Butt poked into the conversation to mention the age of consent and also the Romeo and Juliet lie, causing Comfy to be upset and having me to argue with Chicken Butt about it. I eventually told him off and told him to do research. He did his research and such, and he realized he was wrong. Because at first it was looking like he was supporting a pedophile, but they didn't. It's hard to explain. Chicken Butt defended Barry and Comfy because they let them, and how they admired them before, or they were their first friend, clouded his judgment. And so he was a dumbass for that. Even though my argument was extremely weak, I was very persistent on telling him that he was wrong about a 17-year-old dating a 25-year-old. But, you know, me messing around with Chicken Butt trying to argue with them, I didn't notice that she rejoined Soup server. And for some reason, Comfy snitched on me. With the understandable reason, because, you know, nobody wants a person on their team to have evidence against them, so I guess that makes sense. But, you know, it got me forgetting my mod snatched away, causing me to not warn or be trusted to warn them about Barry, about her being a pedophile. But the one thing I didn't say is that she was a pedophile to Comfy. I messaged Seth, which was probably the wrong idea to even do in the first place, for him to say that he can't do anything. A moderator, of course a close friend to Soup, so why did I trust him as a moderator, couldn't do anything at the moment to stop a pedophile that was in their server. They couldn't time out her or ban her or kick her. You just couldn't do anything. So I had to message Redacted about it, and they finally got the situation through their head. And after when I messaged Seth, he doubled down and put that as his freaking about me. So, okay. It doesn't make any sense on how you're a mod unless you're a mod for funnies in Soup server. Because why would you say that Soup doesn't trust you enough when you're a literal mod one and you're literally Soup's friend? That's double downing, and that was just stupid. Overall, the situation was dealt very unprofessionally. They had Wrecking Ball make an announcement about it, which was the wrong evidence. None of the evidence actually correlated with Barry herself. It was just her introduction. If they did not send the introduction of her and Starry, it still wasn't enough evidence to prove that Barry was a pedophile for Comfy, not Starry. We have no information regarding Starry, and Starry did not accept my friend request, so I don't know any more information despite her being a platonic wife to Barry. But about Sin and CB being a racist, that is not true. They might be mutuals. Well, Sin is dating GTR, but Chicken Butt is a mutual to GTR. And that still doesn't mean they're racist. They never said anything racist. They just know GTR. About Sin's case, I can't say anything about it. About them being a pedophile and harboring a pedophile, that is wrong. They should have, if Wrecking Ball had suspicions that Barry was a pedophile because of her introduction, he should have banned her. Soup should have banned her before things got more intense. Now, Barry is a pedophile because she harassed the previous OpenEye voice actor of Soup server, and that is still involving Soup because 1, she came in the server, 2, it's involving your old voice actors, and 3, you still have contact with Comfy because Comfy has contact with Redacted. So yeah. It's either they know that Comfy and Redacted, it's either that they know that Comfy and Barry dated and they're not going to announce that, Or they don't know because Comfy withheld information that he was dating Barry and he was essentially a victim. And that is it for the Soup drama regarding Barry and Comfy. Alright, so this is the list of things Soup does and did in his server. I'm gonna try to make this quick, but also provide screenshots and the information that I gathered in the 2 weeks I've been in Soup server. I'd like to say, if you're running a server or starting a community, you want to at least be somewhat professional, especially when you have a younger audience. Which goes into my first point. This is mostly aimed at chicken butt situations, on how they were changed to the nickname Chicken Butt by Barry's suggestion and Soup's, action of changing it when CB told them that they did not want to be called Chicken Butt or nicknamed Chicken Butt, and then said that Redacted is my favorite, causing the courtroom to be made, which was mostly just humiliating. Even if it was a joke, it made it seem like teasing is normalized on the server. In another scenario, as we know, Chicken Butt typed in the wrong channel. Soup could have worded it differently. Instead of saying, "Why are you asking here? This isn't the right channel." Instead of redirecting them to the main chat in a simple, casual way. Of course, I have no problem with you settling down your own rules, but you said it harsh to some, and it could be, once again, it could be confusing to a younger audience. They might not know what you mean. They might think that you're, "Why are you asking here? This is the right channel," could be more of a harsher tone. But of course, Chicken Butt is a very different case. Lack of accountability and unsafe handling with serious allegations. Of course, how Soup's team and how they dealt with the pedophile is just beyond everything else. Wrecking Ball made this announcement saying that starting off their whole thing with DTR, Sin, and Chicken Butt plan to take down Soup by canceling him, which, why would Soup worry about that when the situation was mostly surrounded by pedo? The word pedo is the most thing you see in that word, in that whole paragraph. So once again, Soup worrying about their own reputation and not their community on how there was a pedo in the server. Wrecking Ball saying that they were harboring a pedo and later got rid of the pedo, but still they defended the pedos. And the pedo's name was Barry. Only someone who had defending like actions would be Chicken Butt, but Chicken Butt soon realized and did his research on how he was wrong. And saying that they harbored a pedo, once again, I talked about it earlier, Sin and CB did not harbor them, especially when Wrecking Ball said that they knew that they were a pedophile beforehand. If you knew, then you, Soup's team, was technically the one harboring after Barry came back. When they left, okay, no issue. They didn't ban them after they left. They let Barry come back into the server. In no way that was them harboring. Barry came back by her choice and her choice only. That does not involve Sin or Chicken Butt to put them back in Soup's server. They were never harboring a pedo. And saying that they have screenshots of them being racist and saying stuff like that, and say that they goon. People can't just say goon anymore? I'm pretty sure Soup said more weirder stuff to Chumi. I'm not gonna go into it, but you know what? Goon is all of a sudden a spooky word that nobody should even say because it's so inappropriate, so not safe for work. People can't say that to their friends. It's not like they said they were gonna goon to. These screenshots have no specific thing on. Oh yeah, I'm gonna goon to so and so. What does that have to do with anything? Now the racist stuff, the only racism that is involved is with GTR, and that's the only thing. all this evidence that Wrecking Ball's post is not, it's just nothing. It is literally spitballing. He's spitballing absolute nothing. Chicken Butt messaging Wrecking Ball on how Barry is a pedophile. Not harboring, warning them, telling them there's a pedophile in the server. The screenshots and the introductions. That's barely of what Barry has done. Pedophilic behavior besides having, whatchamacallit, besides for having Starry as their platonic wife. That is barely what she's actually have done. And the screenshots between Sin, GTR, and of course Comfy's in there. It's just, it goes to the taking down Soup, but they weren't trying to take down Soup at all. They were just telling them to forget about Soup and saying how they don't like how they were abusing power. Mind you, they were already out of the server. There was none of these screenshots harbored of everything they were saying. The only person who was planning to take down Soup, quote unquote, is me! I have the evidence! I'm showing you guys all of this evidence right now! Wrecking Ball is a misinformation final boss, and I am not cutting this out. I am gonna be straightforward. I know I said I wasn't gonna avoid bias, but if it comes to Wrecking Ball and his misinformation announcement, you just can't help to get a little annoyed at this. Are you serious? And of course, Chicken Butt telling Wrecking Ball that Barry as a pedophile is very fitting. Like, this is like the most best evidence ever that goes with how Barry is a pedophile. How is Barry a pedophile? Do they have any screenshots of that? No, they don't have any screenshots of that besides the introduction, which is not enough, like I said, to actually prove that is an actual threat or a danger to people's server. And it's just baffling. Reading of what I actually said, this has nothing to do with the topic at hand. Misinformation final boss. The first two screenshots are from Comfy, and it says that Soups abuses power, which is true. But it doesn't say why. Except for the first two screenshots. Yeah, they abuse power, yeah, they suck, let's forget about it. That's all the first two screenshots said. And then they throw some witty stuff on saying how they, like, oh, Soup's dumb, or something like that. Those screenshots are nothing. And then the next two on how Barry and Starry and the platonic wife and pedo thing, there's more information despite just Starry being 17 years old and being Barry's platonic wife. Barry and Comfy's situation is right there. But guess who sent them all this evidence? Comfy. And of course he's not going to say that, oh, I dated a 25-year-old. I didn't want them to get in trouble. Comfy has yet to speak up about it. Wow. Reading what I wrote, I'm thinking that Soup's team is A, hiding it, or B, not aware that Comfy is a victim to Barry. There's no way, like I said, that Sin and CB knew about harboring a pedo. They didn't even know anything until I left the server and I told them that it was bad, and then I had to go duke it out Danganronpa style with freaking CB. Nobody knows in Soup's server. Soup does not know. Soup knows they are supporting a pedophile. That's their whole team. Everybody now. It's now everybody. It's not like, oh, they might. No, there's no might. Literally supporting a pedophile, and that is absolutely scaring. If they didn't know. If they did know, yeah, support a pedophile. If they didn't, that is just poor information and evidence that you got. Unprofessional response to constructive feedback. Why have voice actors when you never debut them? I understand that you might get most voice actors' messages and you might miss it because you're on stream, and I understand that. Even some accidentally joining in the stream. That's because you never notice them, which creates confusion. It makes everything confusing. Oh, I want to go stream with Soup. Man, I wonder when they're gonna stream, and we don't know until we see you on stream, and then people want to join in. You don't do that. your voice actors are nothing but just dolls you pick up and want to play with, and then you put them back in, and then they start having dust on them. Only a few people would be able to join Soup's stream, which would be Soup, Chibi Redacted, Wrecking Ball, and Seth. And voice actors who want to join are either told it's too full, but if it's Soup's friends, or other owners, they always get a nice warm spot with their name on it, which is unfair. Now I might be stretching the truth, but in the eyes of A, the previous voice actor, and B, other voice actors feeling the same, which would be Nez, the Sue voice actor. And here are screenshots on what they said. Sue's points being that only main people were consistently invited into streams, and other voice actors who asked to join were brushed off or weren't acknowledged, which is brushed off basically. And having more participants could improve more engagement and variety into the servers, and also having a new game would be more inclusive and more interesting. Make the streams counts go more higher if that's what they're aiming for. Sue's response to all what Nez said was they claim to feel overwhelmed by more than 4 people in streams, which is not true. This picture right here can prove that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh my god, there's 5 people in here. And if Soup doesn't include himself, it's still stretching. It's still a lot of people, and they were fine. They weren't freaking out. They weren't tripping over. If anything, that was a pretty good stream. They also retaliated and said that the personal preference, they would rather go with the personal preference without fairness, and they showed a little, like a little, like, yeah, sure, I'll open to this, to Nez's suggestions, but they rather go for their own comfort rather than engage into having more people into the community. That, which I guess it's a soup thing, Random moderation and just being abusive with their power. Soup's leadership is unprofessional and very unstable on how they just deal and interact with people. For 2 long days, members were getting timed out for saying a list of words by the auto mod that Soup made unknowingly or announced incorrect, not announced clearly, not communicated. We're gonna throw that word out there. And it was very unsufferable to handle. So if you say the word like work, employment, job, oh my god, I just scared myself, you would get timed out. One last thing I'd like to say about their random moderation and their power misuse is when they doubled down for the voice actors because they decided to be Nezuko in a stream when they already have a Nezuko voice actor. I mean, of course, your voice actors, yeah, they need to stay in their character. They have to be the character, stream the character that they are. But you, Soup, it is hypocritical that you tried to be Nezuko on a stream. Even if you own the server, it's just a hypocritical thing. And it shows lack of respect for the other roles. They've done it before. But the Nezuko one is probably the more acknowledgeable one because they usually do it with people who are not, casted yet. Like Murichiro, for an example. They did that one stream when Seth was no longer the Murichiro voice actor. I don't know when that transition happened, but yeah, that happened. And there was a Nezuko voice actor. And at the time, there was a Nezuko voice actor at the time, and I don't know if they messaged the Nezuko voice actor on it, but you know what? In conclusion, Soup's leadership inconsistently acts unsafe towards voice actors, minors, and shows favoritism, and neglects their responsibilities. Since they recently, as of October the 13th, 2025, they disband the voice actors, or essentially just did not want to continue having a voice acting like crew. They just perished the thought. And now anybody can join in, of course. It's Soup's fan base now, so if you're a fan of Soup and you want to stream with him, go ahead and message him in DMs and he may or may not let you in. Overall, I would not want to be in a community who had a lot of toxicity and unprofessionalism around it. And not only that, it's really bad for young audiences. Because, you know, its chicken butt was made fun of and degraded. And there was a predator in the server that was not properly dealt with. And also, there's no communication and nothing is fair. Soup server. And that's all. I have nothing else to say. I don't have any advice or tips because, well, like I said, they doubled down and there's no community to go back to. Thus, there was a way that they could have gave ownership to somebody else, like a friend, or maybe even took accountability and maybe learned how to be a more better founder for his server. But yeah, right now, it's just, that's all I have to say. If you made it this far, thank you so much, and stay safe. Goodbye.